those children who are age 7 and 8 are age 20 to 23, they're part of my film unit as filmmakers. So it's not a difficult task to integrate and include the financially challenged, the mentally challenged, the physically challenged. I mean, these are just challenges. These are not disabilities, I would imagine. Ask any disabled child, does he feel challenged or does he feel disabled? And voila, the answer always will be, I feel challenged. I want to stand up in society. And that is true inclusion. That brings me to the second aspect. Then we talk about problem. When you say problem, dysgraphia problem. So let's go to dysgraphia first. Now, I would imagine that I would bring in the example of Finland. Why Finland? Because it is at the top of the pyramid of education, the world. It has the maximum number of children excelling in the sciences and the languages. And the aside is that till age 7, no child is allowed to hold a pencil in his or her hand because your motor skills have not developed, your fingers have not developed, and you're stressing the fingers, so you cannot hold a pencil. I'm talking about 17 years ago. Well, today there's a new rule. And before I tell you the new rule of Finland, I will talk about myself. I'm a writer. Okay, I pride myself to have at least 5,000 foolscap sheets of handwritten material from last 35 years. But 15 years ago, I stopped writing because I started typing. And as I started typing and the digital world grew, and today post-COVID, we are in a different world. And we have to acknowledge handwriting is not anything at all today. I don't even sign checks because that is done digitally. So I'm worried that why are we so insistent on cutting trees and making paper and filling those sheets and asking for supplementaries when the world, the adult world itself is not exercising its pen and paper, but they expect handwriting from children as if it's a tradition. If it left us, it will handicap us. No, it won't. It has not handicapped the adult world. I'm sure it will not handicap the children's world. Because children are, the child is the father of the man. When I have a problem with my digital problems and my equipment problems, the go-to person is my son, who's 39 years younger than me. And I have to rely on him. I have to submit to him. कि भैया मुझे बचा, ये मुझे आता नहीं है, मुझे समझा. So the child is the father of the man. लेकर हम अगर चलेंगे, तो we will be able to sit down, look into the eye of children, give them respect, and if possible, educate them, but most possibly get educated by them. And for me, that is the most important aspect of my existence, is learning from children. Because 99% of adults that I have interacted with somehow seem to have forgotten that they were children. They imagine that they just opt out and were adults. So over 18 or under 18 तक का तो कोई नहीं, because तो voting rights नहीं है, तो किसी के थाली पे नहीं हो. They are not on anybody's थाली. They are not an interest group. तो जो जी में हम बोल देते हैं उनको, जो जी में ऊपर से नीचे बात करते हैं, उनकी बात सुनने वाला कोई. इसीलिए मैं वहाँ खड़ा हूँ उनके लिए. I am a child rights activist, and I want to stand there and speak from their understanding and their wisdom, which is most important because it has to be heard if there has to be progress in our nation. The way we talk about Finland brings me back to Finland. So, in Finland, the moral of the story is today they have stopped writing. They are using computers for children as young as 7 and 8. Why are they doing this? पागल नहीं हम लोग. दिमाग खराब है उनका, भूल रहे हैं कि लिखना बहुत जरूरी है, नहीं, because they another thing about Finland is that 100% of the teachers in Finland are, and the salary scale of teachers in Finland is equal to or maybe more than even doctors and surgeons of that country. So the value they give to the right way to bring about a tidal wave of education, I think they've paid attention to the finer detail, which is why they score in such a big way. Having said that, the Finland case rests, and we should learn from it. Number two is the emotional quotient that I was talking about. It is the feeling of a child who has been in the womb of the mother and feeling so compact and warm. And once the child comes out, what happens to the child? So I can give you an example of my life and Deepa Bhatia, my better half. We are married for 25 years now. And we have a son, Partho, who's 21, who was sadly in Stanley, and he was in Hawaii as a protagonist. And he's a filmmaker at 20. He started at age 14. Why? Because when he was born, and I was in the room when he was born, I was part of his delivery process. We decided, Deepa and I, that for the first 2.5 years of our lives with him, we will not step out of the house. We will accept work, which is, of course, in COVID, it's so easy going online work. But in those times, we said, let's do research, let's do script writing, which does not need us to be on field or floor. 2.5 years we spent with him. The minute he got to speak his first sentence, we asked him, what do you want to eat? So every meal of his, he has dictated to us, okay, this is what I want. I want chole, I want whatever. Methi bawaj. The fact is that if the child is demanding something, then when it is on the plate, he will not refuse it. It's nature. So he got and found his voice very early. He was the first in the house of three to step out to a Montessori school. And I stepped out with him and I stayed with him in that Montessori school for 7 years. In Besson Montessori, the most inclusive school in India, I would say. With Down's children, autism children, children with other physical and mental illnesses, and they are all integrated with normalized children without a resource room, without any special counseling. It's just the peer group is small. So everybody, one for all for one, ensures Aditya, my buddy who is on the spectrum and who is my buddy since age 5, has sung on my Stanley Dabba music track. He's a miracle child. He can download Beethoven from the net and just randomly play it on his upright piano without a rehearsal. So when we are talking about abilities, are we really inspecting abilities or are we looking for the chink in the armor and calling it disability? Is something that I wish to raise. Second thing which I have told, teachers are meant to teach, not to judge. Judges sit in the courtrooms. Teachers are in classrooms. Teachers need to create a spell in the class, like actors do, in order that the child fall in love with that. And therefore the subject becomes easy and ancillary. But if you're a good actor, so I think in the B.Ed curriculum or the M.Ed curriculum, they should include acting workshops as a reality for every teacher to enjoy herself or himself. Because it's great fun to do an acting workshop, I would say, at whatever age. Now it brings me to one anecdote, and after that I want to show you a film that I had made much before Taare Zameen Par, Deepa and I. But one anecdote, I was called to address 2000 ICSE school principals in Kochi by the ICSE board. But this is after Taare Zameen Par, 2008 I think. And I went, and it was like addressing 2,000 heads of institutions. So I came onto the dais and I said that I would like to say a prayer and I would like you to repeat a prayer with me. And they got all very serious. And I said, okay, here goes. And you repeat after me, okay? They said, I got a chorus of 2000, which said, yes, sir. And then I did, and there was silence. So I repeated it. Two or three principals must have understood what I was saying, and they also, in a very neat sort of way, participate. I said, you all are not getting the point. I am not getting any traction on my prayer. Can we please restart? And I will do it one more time, and I want a little more support this time. So again I went. दो तीन का बन गए 10-12, 10 or 12 out of 2000 school principals. I said, you expect children to just toe the line, whatever you do, but you don't want to do for me. ये क्या हुआ यार, ये तो अन्याय है. So please understand, because education जो अभी मैं 60 साल का आदमी हूँ, तो मैं सोचता हूँ कि मैंने अकाउंटेंसी में इतने मार्क्स मिले थे मुझे, I was a topper, ये मिला, फिर वो मिला, और इसका इस्तेमाल मैंने इन रियल लाइफ में कितना किया. तब मुझे बात खरी खरी समझ में आती है that outside the box is where the knowledge lies. Within the box, of course, that is called can you take instructions. So these are just parameters of whether a child is taking instructions. तो चाहे आप करो या गिजरिश करो या मैथ करो या फिजिक्स करो, एक ही बात मेरे लिए. तो बच्चा अगर माहिर है, सुन रहा है, अच्छे से कर रहा है, बोला यार this is a bright child. I was a bright child. I never lost my rank in school. But much later I realized कि यार मेरे क्लास में एक रिपीटर हुआ करता था जो फेलियर था, but he had never lost his esteem. In fact, 2 साल रिपीट करके वो दादा बन गया. He had become a gunda of the class, and he could really hold anybody's scruff by the scruff and say, "Hey, चुप कर," and we all really got scared of him. अभी आज की दुनिया में ऐसा अगर कोई रहता कोई फेल, तो उसको तो डिसेबल कर देंगे. तो क्या ये जायज है बच्चों के लिए to judge them in this way and put self-doubt into that child who is very spunky? And it brings me to the fourth aspect, which is also very important, कि dyscalculia हो गया, dysgraphia हो गया, dyslexia हो गया. ये देखिए मैं पहन चुका हूँ. This is my I love dyslexia. ये मुझे स्पेन के बंदों ने दिया है. Spain Dyslexic Association. I'm the ambassador there. Oh, I have spoken to UNESCO also in Paris. I addressed the World UNESCO, the World Disability Conference in 2010. तो मैंने वही बात कही. मैंने कहा कि बात का बतंगड़ क्यों बना रहे कि फुटबॉल का डिसलेक्सिया है क्या? तब तो 99% डिसलेक्सिक हो जाएंगे. तो हम लोग ही अपने पैरामीटर्स बनाते हैं ADD, I'm not contesting. There must be a science in terms of understanding and judging the child. But I'm saying, on the other hand, is there an emotional quotient which is also being measured in order to understand the child a bit more? At this point, I'd like to show you this 5-minute film. Can I show it to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me see. You see, I'm also a little bit, challenged. Let me see how does this. Already, I'm so sorry. I thought I had it all worked out. I'm so sorry, I thought I had just put it on the board and now it is like. is taking it. I think there is a problem. I am not able to solve this, and now I am quite.
That was so nice, sir. Here we all are delighted to hear what you said.
No, I'm wanting to share this so desperately.
I know. I wanted to ask him. Meanwhile, while these.
Yeah, you can talk.
We can talk. That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to know, sir, are you a better teacher or you are a better filmmaker?
I am a better cook. I love to cook. My son knows only my food. You know? So, and from making chai to making films, it's the same process, I think. That's what I feel.
Are you working on any new film right now? Any new story?
I think this has come. Oh, damn it. Very good. I hope you like this. आ गया
ये बट सर शेयर स्क्रीन नहीं किया आपने सर शेयर स्क्रीन हम वीडियो नहीं देख पा रहे
Sorry?
सर हम वीडियो नहीं देख पा रहे आपको शेयर स्क्रीन करना
Oh, sorry. Oh God.
Never did we feel the lack. One step forward, steps back. I was cast, so I am here. No
आप
other
शेयर
reason.
स्क्रीन कर दीजिए बस
Why else
You
would I
can't
be
see?
नो सर
living the role assigned to me?
You can't see, no?
नो सर
One second. अरे यार.
बोल दिया मैंने पहले कर दिया था वो शेयर स्क्रीन नहीं कर
नहीं एक बार
हमको स्टेप बाय स्टेप गाइड कर दीजिए शायद कर दीजिए
सर आपको बस शेयर स्क्रीन पे क्लिक करना है
ग्रीन बटन शेयर स्क्रीन
एकदम सेंटर पे है शेयर स्क्रीन
press that and then choose the screen which you on your screen you will get various windows. Choose the window which you want to share.
और यू कैन सेंड अस द फाइल सर हम यहाँ से कर सकते हैं
And expect the words to feel right. I will be instead.
Can you see it now?
ये सर डबल क्लिक कर दीजिए इस फाइल को सर
हाँ. चल रहा है.
नहीं चल रहा सर
He has to
Double click.
there, not just file explorer.
अब देखिए आया?
नो सर
नहीं?
नो
So double click the
अरे एक मिनट. You are screen sharing. It is saying.
Yes, please do. Please go ahead. And choose the screen which you want to share. Just double click that screen.
डबल क्लिक
Now you click the screen. Now go and see the screen.
My friend and I,
सर अपनी
it was pre-decided.
सर एक बार वीडियो ऑफ करिए
Never did we feel the lack.
Can you see it?
सर आपने जो वीडियो फाइल बनाई है वो सर मिनिमाइज हो गई है उसको आप नीचे से मैक्सिमाइज कर लीजिए शेयर स्क्रीन
And if it is on YouTube, sir, we can.
Oh yes we can see now sir
Now we can see.
Why else would I be living the role
we
assigned to
can
me?
see sir
आजकल
sir we can see
a problem.
पर सर
We
हम
could see,
देखे
we could see, sir. Earlier we could see.
You can request him to send you a video file. So you run it.
सर कैन यू सेंड अस योर वीडियो फाइल? आप मेल या व्हाट्सएप कर दीजिए, मैं यहाँ से प्ले कर सकती हूँ.
I'm sorry, do you hear me?
यस सर.
Yeah, आवाज क्यों बंद हो? Hello, can you hear me?
सर आप अपनी वीडियो फाइल हमें दे सकते हैं
How can I send it? How do
बाय
I do it?
ईमेल और बाय व्हाट्सएप.
By WhatsApp I can send.
Yes.
Oh. Can I go for it one more time?
यस सर प्लीज श्योर.
हाँ, क्या करना है आपने बोला?
शेयर स्क्रीन पर आप क्लिक करिए सर.
मैंने शेयर स्क्रीन क्लिक किया.
देन एक विंडो ओपन हुई होगी.
हाँ.
विंडो में फाइल आप चूज करके अपनी वीडियो फाइल को डबल क्लिक कर दीजिए.
File. Yeah. And one second.
Yeah.
Should I bring it onto that?
Yes.
Right.
And then double click.
Why is it not going on?
सर पहले आ रहा था, आपने जब अभी किया था,
हाँ जी.
आया था.
अभी जब आपने किया था तो उस समय पूरी फिल्म दिख रही थी.
Yes sir.
पर वॉइस भी आ रहा था.
हाँ
जी
वॉइस
बिल्कुल
भी
आ
आ
रही
रहा
थी,
था.
तो आप वापस वही कर दीजिए.
ये देखिए. आया क्या?
अभी नहीं.
इससे पहले जो आपने किया था वो ठीक था.
आप वापस शेयर स्क्रीन पे जाएं सर. ग्रीन कलर, हाँ उसको शेयर स्क्रीन को क्लिक करें. आपको स्क्रीन पे कई सारे विंडोज दिख रहे होंगे अपने.
जी.
आपको जो वीडियो हमें दिखाना है उस विंडो पे जाके डबल क्लिक कीजिए.
ओके. ओके.
बट हमें ना इनकी शेयर स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रही. देखो मैं दिखता सर कैसे. सर आपने शेयर स्क्रीन पे क्लिक किया.
एक मिनट. अभी मैं जा रहा हूँ वापस.
हाँ सर ने शेयर स्क्रीन नहीं किया ना. नहीं तो
अरे कहाँ गया?
सर सेंटर में है वो बिल्कुल.
नहीं मैं दिख ही नहीं रहा हूँ.
अच्छा नहीं हमें आप दिख रहे हैं.
I can't see myself.
We can see you sir.
We can see you.
But where have I gone? You know, इसको बोलते हैं challenges of the.
So it's a new era of dyslexia, technology का dyslexia.
This is technology.
We are not.
Dyslexia, we can say
अभी
that.
कुछ आया?
No sir.
ये फिल्म नहीं आई?
No sir.
अरे यार ये तो कुछ लोचा.
सर ट्रस्ट जैसे हम डिलीट कर देंगे आपके दिखाने के बाद. आप भेज सकते हैं हमें.
Yeah, that we can do.
हाँ मैं डिलीट कर दूंगी.
But मैं कहाँ हूँ? I am not able to see myself. Now I have a blank screen, you know.
ये
हाँ,
कैसे-
तो गया.
ये क्या होगा?
मिनिमाइज तो नहीं हो गया.
Minimize
मैं नीचे देख रहा हूँ. I am not seeing anything on my minimize.
सर आप व्यू पे जाकर गैलरी क्लिक करिए फिर.
अच्छा हाँ.
यस व्यू.
Zoom में जाके ना.
राइट.
अरे प्रभु ये कहाँ फंसा दिया.
सर ये तो शुरुआत है.
हाँ ये बहुत गरीब शुरुआत है. हाँ आ गया मैं.
यस.
I can see myself now. Now, what you were saying is that there can be.
आप एक बार से सेंटर पे जाकर शेयर स्क्रीन पे क्लिक करिए.
Center पे क्या?
It's a green icon.
ग्रीन द अप एरो शेयर स्क्रीन.
नहीं अभी क्या हो रहा है ना, I'm telling you. Zoom मीटिंग सिर्फ आ रहा है, उसके नीचे मैं जा रहा हूँ तो my own dashboard is there.
So in his dashboard, he'll be able to see that video which he is.
सर उस डैशबोर्ड में आपका वीडियो ओपन होगा. आप उसको मैक्सिमाइज कर लीजिए.
उसको
उस पे
double
डबल
click
क्लिक
कर
कर दीजिए एक बार. वो वीडियो
If you
मिनिमाइज
see
हो गया.
that dashboard,
हाँ.
उसके अंदर.
Now I can see
Yes.
that share screen है.
राइट. आप
मैं-
उस पे क्लिक
No, it
करिए.
is not share screen.
Single
यस सिंगल क्लिक.
हाँ किया. अभी कुछ Microsoft Share, Microsoft Drive, Google Drive.
हाँ आपकी वो फाइल कहाँ पर है सर?
वो अभी मेरे डेस्कटॉप पे है. But
तो
how do I look on desktop?
आप फाइल पे जाइए.
हाँ डेस्कटॉप पे है.
यस.
डेस्कटॉप आया.
Yes, we can see that.
Now you click.
अब आपका जो भी फाइल है सर, आई
अब मैं
थिंक
कर सकता हूँ ना?
yes you can, we can also see your desktop sir.
Now you can see.
Yes sir.
So this is VOV1.
Right. अब इस पे डबल क्लिक. Yes, now we can see sir.
You can, no? And voice?
अभी आई नहीं सर. सर यहाँ पर एक लेफ्ट साइड में एक एरोज है, 2 एरोज, उस पे क्लिक कर देंगे तो एक फुल स्क्रीन हो जाएगा, एकदम एक्सट्रीम राइट. यस. अब प्ले करिए सर.
क्लिक किया है, अब वो ब्लैक थोड़ा सा आएगा मेरे पास. आ गया.
Yes, we can hear you.
आ गया क्या?
Yes sir.
Okay.
My friend and I went for a walk. It was pre-decided that we not talk. Never did we feel the lack. It was 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I was cast, so I am here. No other reason, I'm sure. Why else would I be living the role assigned to me? आजकल पाँव जमीन पर नहीं पड़ते मेरे. बोलो तुमने कभी देखा है मुझे उड़ते हुए? You sound a chime and expect my words to fall in rhyme. I gurgle instead. That's not enough for you. My trials and my errors bring dismay to you, and therefore to me too. I wonder hard how to push my heel into your shoe. Who tutored you to set milestones? For every single soul he made, animal nor bird you spared. How could I escape your spade? Now I stand surrounded by your circle. There are no corners to hide. Where am I? You tell me. Inside or outside?
Okay.
Say okay children. Okay say.
Okay.
झूठा लूटा किसने उसको ऐसे लूटा कि फिर जुड़ ना पाया. झूठा लूटा किसने उसको ऐसे लूटा कि फिर जुड़ ना पाया. गिरता हुआ वो आसमां के अखिरात में वो विजिर भी बादल के वो कहता रहा मगर के अल्लाह के बंदे हंस
हो ना जरा मला दिसायला करू द्या
This was a lovely piece of work, sir. Thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you very much.
Hang on, I would share it.
Sir, we have, I would like to open the session now to our audiences in case they have any question which they want to ask me.
I'm so, I will be happy to take it.
हाँ एक कर दो
Anyone who wants to ask anything from sir? Sure.
Can you speak up?
Yeah, good morning, Moji. It was a wonderful morning, the best start of the morning in few years. We learned so many things. My question is twofold. I came with a different thought and I got a different teaching here. So one question is, how does somebody become creative in his thinking? Is there any process through which the way you explained the cooking and the movie is in the same space? How does we become creative in our daily life and try to achieve excellence in what we do? And secondly, we all as a parent and adult are obviously very fixed in our thought processes and mind. And what is the thought process somebody has to go through to break that barrier, break that wall, and really understand what parents have to really look into?
Yes, I mean, I understand that I'm talking to a parent here, and the parent is of course a teacher, so that's not. So to answer the first part of your question, see, we are in a 5,000-year-old culture. We are inheritors of those 5,000 years of learning and teaching and the arts. First thing I would say is, however rich the king was, who ruled over maybe half of the Indian subcontinent, but when his son, I'm sorry, they never included girls in that, it was an anomaly. But when the son turned 7 years old, उसको एक जनेऊ बांध दिया शोल्डर पे और जंगल में भेज दिया, क्योंकि गुरुजी वहां कुटिया लगा के फॉरेस्ट में बैठते थे. There was no exchange of money. The prince हो या pauper, they served their guru. और सेवा का जो फल था, that was knowledge. वो knowledge education कब बन गया? It's a very big debate to have actually. But core knowledge was imparted in a very informal way, in a place which was secure, that other influences did not play up on the child's mind, including the riches of his father. So, basis that wonderful value system of imparting knowledge, Guru Rabindranath Tagore also gave us Shanti Niketan. But we have forgotten Shanti Niketan. How have we forgotten Shanti Niketan? Because when I was in school, Nikum sir, who was my art teacher, taught me art right up to my 10th standard, to my board exams. We had double periods. We had an art room. So we went and did batik and acrylic and oils and wood whittling and murals, all in school, 8th, 9th, 10th. बाद में मुझे पता चला 10 साल 20 साल बाद कि 9th और 10th में आर्ट बंद कर दिया गया, बोला अभी सीरियस हो जाओ, अभी बोर्ड एग्जाम्स है, अभी कोटा फैक्ट्री खोलनी है। तो ये जो इंजीनियरिंग और डॉक्टरी की तरफ और आईटी की तरफ जो ध्यान लोगों का बढ़ गया है, उसको समवेयर द होलिस्टिक एजुकेशन ऑफ द आर्ट्स हैज बीन सैक्रिफाइस्ड willfully by the planners के बस अभी इसके आगे बस 9-10 years, you know. I remember in my 9th standard to 10th standard transition, I was a topper. There was a 2.5 month summer vacation in my time. Children would have gone to tuition classes in order to get better 10th standard marks, board marks. But what did I do? It must have been an 80-day or 90-day period, 80-day or 70. I only know that in that period of 2.5 months, 75-day period, I saw 90 films, 90. I used to see the matinees with my neighbor and afternoon films and all, I mean, most of them trashy films, I would say. But some of them were iconic with Vijayanand and, you know, Tisri Manzil and Guide and those Gurudat's Pyasa and all that. I mean, which parent will allow a child who's going into the 10th and who's a topper to go and just have fun? In that very year, when I was in my 10th standard, in the Diwali vacations, my parents sent me and my brother, who was 5 years younger than me, to Northeast India, North India and Nepal. So from Patna, Gaya, everything, from Calcutta down to Allahabad, Varanasi, right up to Kathmandu, Darjeeling. 35 दिन भेज दिया बच्चों को। लोग कहते 10th standard का भाई, get serious, get serious. Well, my parents were serious enough to understand that no, you require to breathe. So the arts from Nikum sir, to along with literature from Parmar sir, he also taught bread and biscuit making. I mean, what a lovely combination, English literature and bread and biscuit making. You know, my Parmar sir who just passed this year, he was, and every Shikshak Din, every 5th September, it was his birthday also, 5th September, he used to bake cakes for us. Until he got Alzheimer's. And Namvar sir also passed 1 month between the two of them, they passed it this year. You know, the two bastions who I met every year, till now my 60th year. And did time because I wanted to learn more from them. So, ये जो पीरियड है व्हेन आई एम आंसरिंग अ पेरेंट कि हम आर्ट्स को कैसे बढ़ावा दें, सबसे पहले तो देयर हैज टू बी अ मेंटल शिफ्ट टू नॉट अगेन जजिंग द आर्ट्स, बिकॉज शांति निकेतन इज नॉट अबाउट जजिंग द आर्ट्स, इट्स अबाउट एक्सप्लोरिंग द आर्ट्स. पेंटिंग हो, क्लासिकल म्यूजिक हो, फोक म्यूजिक हो, इसकी जानकारी मुझे मेरे पिताजी से मिली है, अर्ली स्कूल ने दिया नहीं मुझे. My father used to take me to Baithaks and Mahfils and to Marathi musical theatre every week. That was my enrichment. Radio, All India Radio was my enrichment. Sangeet Sarita, 7:30 से 7:45 बजे सुबह. कौन सा राग है, कौन सा मध्यम है, कौन सा तीव्र है. This all came from the radio, from the Indian radio. Later from Bombay Doordarshan. There were so many cultural programs. So that enrichment is a sum total, because cinema क्या है? Cinema is कढ़ाई जिसमें आर्ट है और नाट्य शास्त्र है और संगीत है, क्लासिकल है, फोक है, ये सब मिला के वो सिनेमा बन जाता. So 5,000 years of the different art forms, when you put them to boil together, the 120-year-old new art form is cinema. So why not include that into the curriculum of regular children of India? Why not create Shanti Niketans instead of creating, you know, clubs, exclusive clubs of expensive fees? तो क्लब हम लोग सब नेबरहुड स्कूल में जाते थे. राजा का भी बेटा उधर, रंग का भी बेटा उधर, वो कुटिया थी. अब ये जमाना आ गया कि वो राजा का बेटा तो रंग के साथ पढ़ेगा ही नहीं, तो उसको महसूस कैसे करेगा कि भारत में जी रहा है वो? वो तो कुछ एक अजीब और गरीब एयर कंडीशन माहौल में पैदा हुआ है, एयर कंडीशन माहौल में जीता है और एयर कंडीशन माहौल में मरेगा। उसको कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा रास्ते पे क्या चल रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, कौन कितना दुखी है, किसके लिए वो क्या कर सकता है। So if that empathy does not arise in a common classroom, तो बाकी तो सारी बड़ी बड़ी बातें हैं अंग्रेजी में, उसका क्या मतलब है मैं नहीं जानता और उसको मैं सपोर्ट भी नहीं करता और उसका मतलब समझता नहीं। Morals. So somewhere I feel there has to be an egalitarianism and art which will find its fuel with children's minds. And the children's minds are most fertile, they are unbiased, they राजा और रंग में उनको अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं होता until उनके पेरेंट्स से समझाते बेटा उसके साथ नहीं बैठना, वो नहीं, हम लोग नहीं है, हम लोग अलग है। तो जब तक ये these lines don't disappear, how will you absorb art which is so democratic and so lively and so it's been alive for 5,000 years? You can't kill it. Our job is to take it further to the next generations. तो अगर तुमको अच्छा नहीं लोगे तो खराब मिलेगा कुछ, तो कहाँ जाओगे भाई?
Art should be part of the curriculum. Art should be part of life. I truly agree with that. Anyone from the education fraternity? Anyone else? Any question? Please, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Great session. I wanted to ask, like, according to you, does strict discipline, like in schools, restrict children into a box? Matlab, yes, discipline rules are needed, but does those restrict them into a box of like a certain kind? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard the first part. I heard strict discipline. Yeah. But what do you think about some box? What is it?
Yeah, does the strict discipline restrict children into a box? Like a sort
Of course it does. I mean, अब आर्मी खोलना है तो फिर ठीक है. Discipline has a meaning. You know, the word discipline, frankly, you know where it came from. It didn't come from conformity. Discipline is a route that you follow. So you can say the science discipline or the arts discipline. It got miscarried in terms of its word usage as something के ठोक पीट के ठीक करना है तो उसको discipline बोलते. The actual word discipline does not say this. It is to follow something with rigor, but it is about subject following. It has got nothing to do with conformity and standing in a line and, you know, sharp haircuts and all that. Discipline का क्या मतलब है? उससे क्या होगा? We will regiment a child to think in a particular way. वो कुछ टाइम तक चलेगा. जो रिबेल करना है वो रिबेल करेगा. जिसको कंफर्म करना है उसको तुम फ्रीडम भी दे दो तो भी बोलेगा मैं क्या करूं टीचर में आपको फॉलो करता हूं, है ना? तो एक तो I think there should be smaller groups of children in a classroom. It becomes a tension for teachers because इतना वो 50-60 बच्चे एक साथ संभालना प्लस अपना फैमिली संभालना, फैमिली के रोने धोने क्लासरूम में लाना और बायस हो जाना, ये सत्य कथा है ना. ये टीचरों की लाइफ की सत्य कथा में उनके मुंह से मैंने सुना है, मैं अपना नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. कि कितना इन्फ्लुएंस हो जाते हैं लोग जब प्रेशर बढ़ता है, फैमिली प्रेशर, अर्निंग प्रेशर, यू नो. माएँ हैं जो टीचर हैं पर वो उनको घर में खाना भी बनाना है. ऐसे नहीं कि हस्बैंड साहब कह रहे हैं चलो ठीक है यार हम लोग दोनों इकट्ठा काम कर रहे हैं तो इकट्ठा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी संभालें. मैं दूर क्यों जाऊं, मेरी माँ की बात करता हूँ. My mother served the Life Insurance Corporation for 42 years. Her benchmate in LIC was Sachin Tendulkar's mother, Rajni Tendulkar, at LIC, Mumbai. She used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. We were 2 sons and a husband and herself. 4 लोगों का फ्रेश खाना बनाओ और सुबह ऑफिस चले जाओ. शाम को वापस आके अगेन खाना बनाओ क्योंकि हस्बैंड कह रहे मैं तो फ्रेश खाना खाता हूँ लेकिन बनाता नहीं हूँ. वहां से मेरा बनाना शुरू हुआ फर्स्ट. I used to wait for my mother to come so I can surprise her कि आज कुछ कटलेट्स बना के रखे हैं माँ के लिए या कुछ पूरन पोली बना के रखी है माँ के लिए या चाय ही सही बना के दे दूं माँ को क्योंकि इतना करती है। तो ये एहसास है ऑफ इक्वालिटी ऑफ जेंडर ये मेरा अपना बचपन है जहां से माय थॉट्स गॉट ओन। वो राजा बेटे की तरह मैं नहीं आता था माँ फेंक दिए कपड़े ये किया हम सब करते थे। बहुत छोटा था जब राशन लेके आता था घर के लिए फल फूल लेके आता था सब्जियां खरीदना क्या भाव चल रहा है चौनी कैसी बचानी है ये सब बचपन के जो है।
इसका मतलब अमोल जी आप बिल्कुल फिल्मी बेटों से अलग थे।
क्या लगते हैं?
फिल्मी बेटों से बिल्कुल अलग थे। फिल्मों में तो बेटे अलग तरह बिहेव करते हैं।
फिल्म क्या वो
नौकरी मिल गई।
नॉर्मली बेटे ही अलग होते हैं मैंने देखा है और उनको खराब करने वाली उनकी माँ ही होती है। मैंने राजा बेटा मेरा कॉलेज पढ़ेगा मैंने डाला है साइना में। If you've seen my film Saina on Saina Nehwal, it's on Amazon with Pariniti Chopra playing Saina. तो उसमें है राजा का बेटा कॉलेज पढ़ेगा मेरा बेटी चूल्हा फूके और 18 के होते ही हाथ पीले। लेकिन मेरे साथ ऐसा नहीं हुआ ऐसे साइना के। And that is why I celebrated the girl child in Saina Nehwal, the badminton chapter. क्योंकि ये बहुत डीपली हमको सोचना पड़ेगा कि बेटा बेटी के बीच में का अंतर पहले खत्म हो जाए। एजुकेशन तो इसके आगे की बात है और नॉलेज तो बहुत सुप्रीम है। That's a larger discussion to have कि what is knowledge and what is education and what is curriculum and what are academics. So does academia approve of knowledge or does it approve of curriculum? These are of course academic questions to be asked the correct
So you are leaving us on a very stimulating thought about knowledge and curriculum. I'm sure during the day in this conference this point will be discussed further.
Madam, the truth is it came from Amol sir, the man who walked into my 8th standard Hindi class and threw the Bal Bharati out of the ground floor window and said कि जिंदगी खुशी का बुलबुला है गम का सागर है और गौतम ने महल छोड़ दिया। हम लोग आ गए नॉलेज के पायदान पे फ्रॉम करिकुलम। और आज मैं जिस बखूबी मैं हिंदी का सिर्फ प्रचार ही नहीं कर रहा हूँ उसका व्यापार भी कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं फिल्म राइटर भी हूँ। ये उनकी देन है। The love for the Hindi language for a Mumbai Marathi boy in a regular SSC English medium school is rare. It is rare because नामवर सर जैसे टीचर rare हैं who will bring in the love, the prem for the Hindi भाषा या अंग्रेजी भाषा के परमार सर। तो D.H. लॉरेंस क्या है लॉर्ड बायरन क्या है ये हमको स्कूल में अगर उन्होंने जन्म घुट्टी की तरफ पिला दिया लाइक पल्स पोलियो तो वो तो अपने काम का आ गया।
चूंकि आप हिंदी भाषा की बात कर रहे हैं अब इस सेशन को खत्म करने से पहले मैं आपको निमंत्रण देना चाहूंगी कि आप जयपुर आए। जयपुर की हिंदी भाषा में एक अलग मिठास है।
ओह बिल्कुल। तो मेरी असिस्टेंट रही है ऋतु भाटिया जो तारे ज़मीन पर में मेरी असिस्टेंट रही हैं। शायद उनकी वजह से आज हम बात कर रहे हैं। संदीप जी को नंबर दिया था शायद उन्होंने।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप इतना समय हमारे लिए आपने निकाला और
नहीं मुझे
जयपुर स्कूल की पूरी टीम की तरफ से और यहाँ मौजूद सारे जितने भी हमारे गेस्ट और एमिनेंट स्पीकर्स हैं उनकी तरफ से आपको शुक्रिया कहना
आपको धन्यवाद।
हमारा ये कार्यक्रम चलता रहेगा। आप यदि जुड़े रहना चाहें तो आपका स्वागत।
जी मेरे से कार्यक्रम ऑन है मेरे।
Moving on. Now I would like to invite Ms. Sheelawati, Additional Commissioner Elementary Education, to give her introduction session.
Good morning, all of you. My assistant Project Director, Samsa. गुड मॉर्निंग ऑल ऑफ यू। मैं असिस्टेंट प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर समग्र शिक्षा से हूँ। अभी अमोल सर का जो सेशन रहा है वो बहुत ही इनोवेटिव प्रैक्टिकल रहा है। मैं जो आपको बात बताऊंगी वो शायद थोड़ी लेक्चर टाइप की रहेगी, बिकॉज मेरा सेशन यहाँ पे न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी एंड समग्र शिक्षा के अंदर जो एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के द्वारा उसमें CWS जो बच्चे हैं हमारे स्पेशल नीड्स के, उन बच्चों के लिए क्या क्या फैसिलिटीज हम प्रोवाइड करवाते हैं, क्या क्या रूल्स और रेगुलेशन है उनकी, क्या क्या गाइडलाइंस जारी होती है, उसी के बारे में मैं आपको थोड़ा कुछ बताऊंगी। सबसे पहले मैं ये बात करना चाहूंगी कि हमारी जो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है उसके अंदर जो स्पेशल नीड्स वाले जो बच्चे हैं उनके लिए एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट के अंदर सबसे पहले हम यहाँ डोर टू डोर सर्वे की बात करते हैं, क्योंकि अभी हम जो सिनेरियो देखते हैं सिटीज के अंदर हमारे पेरेंट्स जो होते हैं वो काफी एजुकेटेड होते हैं, तो यहाँ बच्चों को आइडेंटिफाई करने में ऑलमोस्ट आइडेंटिफाई हो जाते हैं बच्चे, लेकिन सुदूरवर्ती जो गांव के अंदर बच्चे होते हैं वहां तक अप्रोच जो है फिजिकल अप्रोच हमारी नहीं हो पाती है। इसलिए हमारे यहाँ पे जो फिजिकल अप्रोच के लिए डोर टू डोर सर्वे किया जाता है। हमारे सेंट्रल रिसोर्स सेंटर बने हुए हैं उसके अंदर। तो सबसे पहले ये होता है कि गांव के अंदर जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल, ब्लॉक लेवल, पीओ लेवल तक, ग्रास रूट लेवल तक हमारे जो स्पेशल नीड्स वाले जो हमारे टीचर्स हैं उनको स्पेशल ट्रेनिंग दिया जाता है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की तरफ से। बच्चों को आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं, उसके बाद में उनको मेडिकल डिपार्टमेंट की सहायता से कैंप लगाए जाते हैं और उनको जो स्पेशल नीड्स की जरूरत होती है उन बच्चों को आइडेंटिफाई किया जाता है। देन उनको स्कूल के अंदर उनको अप्रोप्रिएट जगह पे जहाँ पे वो जाता है आगे की तरफ से, और उनको जो बेसिक नीड्स की जरूरत होती है वो चीजें उनको प्रोवाइड करवाई जाती है। सेकंड बात हम करते हैं ये उसके अलावा हमारे सेंट्रल जो 33 हमारे जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स हैं वहाँ पे रिसोर्स सेंटर बनाए गए हैं हमारे संदर्भ केंद्र जिन्हें बोलते हैं, और ब्लॉक लेवल पे भी 301 ब्लॉक्स हैं हमारे, वहाँ पे भी हमारे रिसोर्स सेंटर बनाए गए हैं। उनको मॉडिफिकेशन किया गया है। वहाँ पे आपको सारे जो साइकियाट्रिस्ट हैं, फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट हैं, स्पीच थेरेपिस्ट है, तो बच्चे को जहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में अगर वो बच्चा पढ़ रहा है और उसको किसी न किसी जैसे डिसेबिलिटीज है, उनको सुनने में कोई क्षमता है या मतलब बच्चा बोल नहीं पाता है उसके अंदर, या अदर जो एक्टिविटीज वो बच्चा कर पाता है, उनको स्पेशल ट्यूटर होते हैं वहाँ पे रिसोर्स सेंटर पे, तो बच्चों को आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं, वहाँ पे रिसोर्स सेंटर पे उनको लाया जाता है और वहाँ पे उनकी ट्रेनिंग करवाई जाती है स्पेशल एजुकेटर टीचर के द्वारा। तो यहाँ पे समग्र शिक्षा के अंदर कुल मिला के 301 प्लस 33 जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे हमारे संदर्भ केंद्र बने हुए हैं, उन पे पीएबी की तरफ से काफी बजट प्रोवाइड करवाया जाता है, और इस तरह से यहाँ पे उन बच्चों को आइडेंटिफाई करके और आपको उसके अंदर उन बच्चों के अंदर जो नैसर्गिक क्षमताएं हैं उनके अंदर बच्चों के अंदर उनकी प्रतिभाओं का विकास किया जाता है ताकि उनको एनहेंस कर सके। जरूरी नहीं पढ़ाई के अंदर वो बच्चा हो, उसकी लर्निंग पावर है, उसका डांस में हो सकता है बच्चा, सिंगिंग के अंदर अच्छा बच्चा हो सकता है या पेंटिंग में अच्छा हो सकता है, तो वहाँ पे उनकी कैपेबिलिटी को चेक किया जाता है रिसोर्स सेंटर पे, एंड देन उनकी क्षमताएं जो है उनको एनहेंस किया जाता है। सेकंड बात में कर रही हूँ न्यू एजुकेशन जो पॉलिसी है उसके अंदर स्किल डेवलपमेंट पे जो मैं अभी बात कर रही थी, वो स्किल डेवलपमेंट पे काफी फोकस किया गया है। उसी के कंसर्न में हमारे जो ये रिसोर्स सेंटर जो बनाए गए हैं ये अभी डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे काफी पहले बन गए थे, और 301 जो हमारे ब्लॉक्स हैं वहाँ पे अभी ये शुरुआत है इनकी, तो वहीं पे इन बच्चों को काफी इनको मतलब इनकी क्षमताओं का विकास करके इनको एनहेंस किया जाता है आगे के लिए। फिर आगे मैं बात करती हूँ इसके अंदर अभी जो कोविड आया था, काफी पेंडेमिक था, तो ऐसे बच्चे जो घरों पे रह गए उन बच्चों के लिए पेरेंटिंग, दूर दराज के इलाकों के लिए पेरेंटिंग सेशन जो काउंसलिंग का सेशन किया जाता है यहाँ पे रिसोर्स सेंटर पे, यहाँ पे भी पेरेंट की काउंसलिंग की जाती है ताकि वो बच्चों को प्रमोट करे आगे, घर पे ना रखे उन बच्चों को, स्कूल तक उनको अप्रोच, फिजिकल अप्रोच उन बच्चों की हो सके, तो वहाँ पे काउंसलिंग भी की जाती है। इसके अलावा जो अभी पैंडेमिक सेशन था उस दौरान हमने एक ऑनलाइन प्रोग्राम भी बच्चों के लिए, ऐसे बच्चों के लिए जो डिसेबिलिटीज हैं बच्चे, उनके लिए डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे CDPO और ब्लॉक्स लेवल पे डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे जो है ADPC, ब्लॉक लेवल पे CBO एंड POs, ग्रास रूट लेवल तक आपका जो व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप बनाया गया, और उनके जो ऑडियोज हैं वो बच्चे तक, उनको लैपटॉप, मोबाइल, ये काफी उनकी जो पढ़ाई की चीजें हैं, ब्रेल लिपि वाली बुक्स, उनकी लार्ज फॉन्ट वाली बुक्स, ये सब प्रोवाइड करवा के उनको ऑनलाइन जो है बच्चों को मतलब उनको शिक्षा प्रदान की गई। इसको मिशन समर्थ कार्यक्रम का नाम दिया गया था। ये गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के द्वारा संचालित था अभी पैंडेमिक दौरान। और इसके अलावा ऐसे बच्चे हैं इनको स्पेशल नीड्स की जरूरत होती है, इनके लिए एक्सपोजर विजिट का भी हमारे पास में एक प्लान है, जिसमें बच्चों को एक्सपोजर, जैसे कि राजस्थान की कल्चर है, राजस्थान का हेरिटेज है, तो ऐसे बच्चों को कहीं ना कहीं जैसे जयपुर घुमाने के लिए ऐसे बच्चों को किया जाता है। वहाँ पे ब्लॉक से ऐसे बच्चों को काउंट करके फिर आप उनको जैसे मेट्रो में घुमा दिया आपने, तो बच्चे बड़े खुश होते हैं। तो उनको एक्सपोजर विजिट का नाम दिया गया है। तो वहाँ पे बच्चों को कलेक्ट करके आप बच्चों को लेके आते हैं और आप जैसे तारामंडल दिखा दिया, बिरला मंदिर दिखा दिया, जोधपुर ले गए, इस तरह का हम प्लान करते हैं बच्चों के लिए। तो इस तरह से बच्चों को काफी बच्चों की क्षमताओं का काफी विकास होता है। इसके अलावा जो है न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के अंदर, इसके अलावा जो मिशन समर्थ कार्यक्रम की मैं बात कर चुकी, एक चीज ये हो है कि अभी जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के द्वारा जो गाइडलाइन जारी की गई है, उसमें CWSN जो बच्चे हैं उनके लिए टॉयलेट्स बेसिकली ये सभी गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में टॉयलेट जो बच्चों के लिए स्पेशल नीड्स वाले बच्चों के लिए होने चाहिए। तो CWSN टॉयलेट्स जो हैं वो सभी स्कूलों में बने हुए हैं। और इसके अलावा रैंप की व्यवस्था, जो बेसिक नीड्स है बच्चों के लिए, वो रैंप की व्यवस्था। और जो बच्चे ऐसे बच्चे हैं जो फर्स्ट फ्लोर सेकंड फ्लोर पे नहीं, ग्राउंड फ्लोर पे वो बच्चे होने चाहिए। तो ये काफी चीजें हैं जो काफी हम प्रयास कर रहे हैं इन बच्चों के लिए। इसके अलावा जो मुझे अमोल सर ने काफी प्रैक्टिकल चीजें बताई है, तो हम यही प्रयास करेंगे समग्र शिक्षा की तरफ से कि काफी बच्चों के अंदर और भी काफी प्रैक्टिकल जो है इनोवेटिव आइडियाज हम लेके आए और उन बच्चों के लिए काफी हम कुछ कर सकें। इसके अलावा न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में कई टास्क रखे गए हैं। तो इंटरलिंकिंग डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं, वो टास्क जो हैं काफी अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट से रिलेटेड है, जिसमें ICD भी हमारे साथ है, महिला बाल विकास विभाग, सोशल जस्टिस डिपार्टमेंट है हमारे साथ में, एजुकेशन समग्र शिक्षा है उसके अंदर डायरेक्टोरेट बीकानेर है। और ऐसे बच्चों के लिए बुक्स और उनकी मोबाइल, लैपटॉप, उनके हेडफोन वगैरह, इनके लिए RSCRT उदयपुर एक संस्था है हमारी, तो उन बच्चों के लिए स्पेसिफिक प्रोग्राम जो है उनकी बुक्स वगैरह का बनाने का काम, उनका कंटेंट क्या होगा, तो ये उन बच्चों की नीड्स को देखते हुए वो प्रोग्राम डिजाइन किए जाते हैं। तो मैं यही कहना चाहूंगी कि दिशा फाउंडेशन काफी अच्छा काम कर रही है इस दिशा के अंदर बच्चों के साथ में। और हमारे साथ भी समग्र शिक्षा में काफी NGOs काफी जुड़े हुए हैं। पूरा समग्र शिक्षा में कंपोनेंट पूरा चलता है इसके अंदर। डिसेबिलिटीज बच्चों के लिए हम काफी कुछ काम कर रहे हैं और मैं चाहूंगी कि यहाँ से काफी सारे इनोवेटिव आइडियाज में यहाँ वहाँ लेके जाऊँ और काफी उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकें। थैंक्स अ लॉट।
Thank you so much, ma'am. National Policy of Education में जो changes आए, we are looking forward to them. क्योंकि content is really needed और आप break की बात कर रहे थे, which is actually necessary, and it is also very important for children with special needs. Looking forward, ma'am. Now moving on, I would like to invite Miss Vaidehi Singh, Principal Maharaja Savai Bhavani School, to begin with the session. Welcome, ma'am.
Namaskar to everyone, and thank you so much, Mrs. Ketan, Rhino, and Bhavna, for inviting me here. It's a tough call now to speak after a very invigorating session by Mr. Gupte. And the topic given to me is teaching and learning after the COVID, beyond the COVID era. March 2020 will forever be known as a time when the schools closed their doors to their students. The coronavirus spread across the world, giving the worst shock to the education systems and disrupted the learning process in a way not imagined before. School leaders and teachers struggled to find a way to connect to the children, to reach out to parents, to reach out to the stakeholders, and quickly the online format was developed, changing the way we look at education forever. As the pandemic recedes and we are in the recovery mode, the schools are reopening across the world. It is as good a time as any stop and look at the likely future of education. The pandemic exposed our vulnerability to crisis and revealed how precarious and interdependent a number of issues can be. Now is the time to chart a vision as to how education can emerge stronger from this crisis than ever before. The key areas needing attention: number one, getting the children back in school. All schools need to plan and ensure that all students are back in school. Schools have to take all measures to open safely, see that the teachers are prepared and supported to meet the learning needs of students. Most children have lost substantial learning time and may not be ready for curriculum that is grade or age appropriate prior to the pandemic. There is an immense learning gap in the students and we need to collectively work towards decreasing it. The action required on the part of the schools: number one, schools have to prepare adaptable learning assessment tools which measure learning losses and identify learning needs. Number two, schools have to plan remedial learning at all levels. Number three, schools have to design and implement digital transformation plans which include looking at infrastructure and invent pedagogies to use digital and blended teaching opportunities. And number four, schools have to redefine academic plans. They have to review assessment and evaluation systems and the admission procedure at last. Therefore, it is a twofold challenge: getting the children back in school in full numbers, as some parents and children are still very apprehensive and fearful about their safety in school. And secondly, for those children who are returning to school, there is an urgent need to see that they are not bombarded with heavy syllabus and academic plans and textbooks, whereas the school leaders have to see that the children are gently eased into the rhythm and pace which is tailored to their immediate needs and requirements. The second area which needs immediate attention is the social, emotional, and physical well-being of the children, as well as of teachers. Schools play a critical role around the world in ensuring the delivery of essential health services, both physical and mental, nutritious meals, protection, and psychosocial support. The school closure has imperiled not just the learning of the children, but also children's overall well-being and development. A holistic approach is required, which does not focus only on academic progress. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a devastating effect on all of us. Children being the most vulnerable section of the society, they have been exposed to unimaginable misery, hardship, and setbacks. The student who's walking back into school in 2022 is not the same student who walked out of it in 2020. The pandemic has caused much grief, anxiety, and stress in everyone's life, and young learners have been deeply impacted. Prolonged stay at home, increased screen time, and almost no physical activity has resulted in weight gain, aggression, mood swings, lack of concentration, emotional eating, altered sleep patterns, boredom, and in extreme cases, depression. Since many of the typical indicators teachers use to identify students experiencing mental health difficulties were not available during the online teaching. The action on the part of the schools immediately recognize and address these issues. Students will need tailored and sustained support to help them readjust. Teachers and counselors in schools will have to provide opportunities and different platforms to students for expressing themselves, channelizing their energies in creative pursuits such as sports, music, dance, art, writing, theatre, and so on. Group counseling, one-to-one support, regular communication with parents will ensure that children feel safe and valued and overcome the physical and mental barriers to achieve their full potential. And the third area needing attention is to rethink learning. Pandemic has changed forever the way teaching and learning was carried out earlier and there is no going back. Children who start school now will grow up to be workers and leaders in a digital world that will demand new skills and new ways of thinking. Teachers and students will have to grow and develop a broad set of skills in and out of school, and technology would play a very big role in any innovation and in how learning would take place in future. While the school buildings would remain hubs of learning and providing a safe and nurturing environment to children, education would move beyond the four walls of a traditional classroom with 30 students and one teacher. New technologies have opened up ways to transfer practices, structures, and even cultures in school. A new hybrid model of education has already emerged with significant benefits. Digital adoption has taken a quantum leap at both organizational and at students' level. The online platforms available to teachers and students in the form of WhatsApp, meetings on Zoom, Meet, or other similar platforms, Google Classrooms, YouTube channels, radio and TV broadcasts, video presentation, etc., have opened up a whole new world of possibilities to the teachers and the learners alike. The need of the hour is to plan blended learning in a way which improves student experience and connects the child at the remotest place. Indeed, throughout the global school closures, we have seen the heroic efforts of educators, many of whom are in poor communities, to develop relevant remote learning content for students. I'd like to give a few examples here. In Chile, a country with comparatively less resources, a network of teachers came together to develop a series of 30-minute radio lessons for secondary students who had no access to online learning. The radio lessons went on to be distributed by more than 240 radio stations within a month of school closure, reaching out to a large number of children. In Argentina, the government developed a call center facility to remain connected to the parents and the students. In India, basic cell phones were used to facilitate learning for less resourced communities. For example, in Himachal Pradesh, the Har Ghar Pathshala initiative of the government developed thousands of videos and digital worksheets and deployed 45,000 teachers to connect to the parents through WhatsApp broadcasts. Civil society organizations such as Pratham engaged directly with parents and families on children's learning by using a combination of text messages and weekly phone calls. The text messages engage the children in learning through fun and interactive activities, such as asking small children as to count how many teeth their parents had, or how many buckets of water their families used, and text the answer back. By June 2020, they were sending over 1 lakh text messages and reaching 12,000 rural communities. Many such examples of engagement of parents and families has brought forth the reality that parents with meager resources can actually be powerful allies in their children's remote learning. Smart use of technology and data, engagement of a diverse section of people, innovative pedagogical approaches, and new ways of reaching out to children has the potential to accelerate progress. These are just a few heartening examples of how the schools, the civil society, and the government can get together and reach out to provide access to education to the students during the difficult times. However, despite all efforts, a large chunk of students have fallen off the education map because of constraints of resources, both in terms of availability of e-learning platforms, equipment with the students, and also limitations in terms of communication models, internet access, phone connectivity, etc. This period has highlighted the economic divide within the society and left us with a challenge to reintegrate those students who have lost out on school education back into the school system. A policy needs to be drafted. Steps which need to be taken have to be bold steps. Steps which will create a resilient, inclusive, and quality education system for the future. We have an opportunity to reimagine education. We can either take a leap towards forward-looking systems, or we can remain where we were and lose the opportunity. As the world faces unsustainable levels of inequality, we need education, the great equalizer, more than ever. I would like to end with the words of Sri Kailash Satyarthi, Nobel laureate. Quote, we've been hearing the rhetoric time and again that children are the future. But why do we not understand that children are the present? They are the today. They are now. Unquote. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for highlighting the important topics such as emotional and social well-being of the children, digital era, out-of-the-box learning, and blended learning. Thank you. Now, moving on, I would like to invite Ms. Rita Taneja, Principal DPS Jaipur, to begin with her session. Welcome, ma'am.
Very, very warm and pleasant good morning to everybody. It's been quite a long session. I don't know बच्चे कितना आप सुनना चाहेंगे हमें या कितना नहीं. But I think I should begin my session or my talk by thanking the team Disha Foundation, Team Jaipur, Renu ma'am, Ketan ma'am for having us here and for discussing these issues which are so close to all our hearts. We all are educators and we know how important it is now after the COVID, the disruption that has happened, to come out of it and now to regain and begin the life once again. And somewhere I think for this generation, they will not need to explain to anybody what is bouncing back or what is resilience or how to cope up with failures. All of us have been jolted out of our natural, normal lives and we were faced with COVID. I think the generation before me saw the partition. They saw the migration. And every time we used to hear our parents give us the examples of migration and how they suffered and how they started their lives again and they became successful. We all have heard this, at least people of my generation, बच्चे तो बहुत छोटे बैठे हुए हैं आज. My generation people heard कि हाँ हम लोगों ने अपना business छोड़ा और अपनी riches छोड़ी और अपने बड़े बड़े मकान छोड़े और यहाँ आए और गलियों कूचों में काम करके हमने वापस से अपनी life start करी. Somewhere that gave us also determination that we can also begin the life anytime even after losing everything. हमारे बच्चों ने देखा कि कोविड में सब कुछ बंद हो गया. खाना भी नहीं था घर में और सब लोग अपने ही बना रहे थे और शॉपिंग भी नहीं थी और फ्रेंड्स भी नहीं थे, पार्टीज भी नहीं थी और सब कुछ बंद हो गया और फिर भी धीरे 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 लाइफ वापस शुरू हो गई. So I think for this generation, explaining what is resilience is just making a habit of what we have been through. अगर हम लोग सब याद रखेंगे कि हम लोगों ने क्या सहा है, क्या हम लोगों ने देखा, how the deaths happened, how there was scarcity, and how we all stood by each other, और धीरे धीरे हम लोग उस बुरे टाइम से निकल के आज हम वापस नॉर्मल टाइम में आ रहे हैं. So then children will know कि जो छोटे छोटे failures हम लोग रोज देखते हैं क्लास में, जब हमारा रिजल्ट हमारे अकॉर्डिंग नहीं आता, जितना हम पढ़ के जाते हैं, जितनी हम मेहनत करते हैं, and we are not able to get good marks, or we want to make a friend, और वो friend हमसे बात नहीं करता या करती है, हमें कितना बुरा लगता है, बट फिर भी हम अपनी जिंदगी चलाते रहते हैं. हमको थोड़ा बैठ जाते हैं, नहीं बैठ जाते ना बच्चों. We all try and get up again and again study and again do well. We as teachers can only provide you the ways how to face the challenges of life. हम लोग as teachers, adults, parents, caregivers, we cannot save you from the bad things which will happen. They are a part of your life. You will face failure more than success. I'm sure everybody in this room has had failure at some point or the other. Maybe academic, maybe social, maybe emotional, maybe financial. There are so many things. We have with us people like Ashna Zurana ma'am, who has started from the scratch and now today she's an icon. I'm sure she understands, even she will vouch for it, that failures are more common in our life than success. Every time you do something new, there is a challenge. अमोल गुप्ते सर ने बोला कि पढ़ाई हो या फिल्म मेकिंग हो या चाय बनाना हो, सब सेम है. I'm really touched. I think हमें सबको समझना होगा. Anything that we do is just the same. Prepare करो, knowledge gain करो, try करो, पहले fail होगा, फिर try करो, थोड़ा ठीक बनेगा, थोड़ा अच्छा होगा, और फिर धीरे 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 हम success पा ही लेंगे. The only thing me as a teacher I can give is some tools to my child to bear the adversity. Failure आएगा, challenges आएंगे, but how to overcome them, not to be succumbed by them. I think that there are few adults, caregivers in this room, we all have to understand that that is the only thing we can do for our children who come under our care. Maybe as an educator, maybe as an administrator, from whichever walk of life we are sitting over here today. We can only give our children some tools to prevent them from being cowed down by the failure that they face. How to face it? That's about all. Challenges to hamesha aayenge. We will not be able to shield you from the bad effect of the challenges that you will have to see in your life. Maybe some things that I have learned from my experience as a teacher, as a mother, are that we can just help you to chart a path for your success. छोटे-छोटे goals बनाइए, छोटी-छोटी successes achieve करिए, analyze करिए what went wrong, and again start your job. छोटे-छोटे goals बनाएंगे तो उसमें success sure होगी. In fact, हम लोग कई बार letter जब लिखते हैं, we always say make a rough draft first. So rough draft जब हम शुरू करते हैं, हमें पता है उसमें गलतियां होंगी. We have a chance to improve. But if you do something that, okay, this is my final project, and then when your teacher gives you a red mark, then you feel very bad. But why can't we as teachers tell our children that whatever you do in the beginning, it will be a rough draft. You are doing it for the first time. Nobody has come fully equipped. Everybody is learning every day. So why don't we just have that rough draft approach in our mind and our working also? We can just start something, do it, and take guidance from our mentors. I think few days back we were doing a show, and Sandeep sir is not here in the audience. He asked me, "Likho, ek article likho, ek news article likho." And the way he wanted, I just couldn't understand it. And I went on writing it. No doubt we require a very patient teacher like him also to guide us. But he made sure that me at this age also learned a new skill of writing an interview article. 5 bar, 6 bar, I got irritated. But still he persisted. No, you have to write it. You have to write it. Without a single negative or a positive comment, he made me persist. So I think somewhere, and I did it. It was very beautifully written. Ultimately, it was published, and I feel very happy I did it. It wasn't me who was doing it. It was my teacher or my mentor. So that is the spirit that I learned from him. That even if a child makes a mistake, be persistent. Don't let your children give up. Make sure even after the mistakes, don't judge them, don't label them, but don't give up also on them. Just make them persist. Push nahi. It is good, do it. And expect very high standards from your students. Agar main, as a teacher, if my child brings something which is not very good, I don't like it, और मैं बोलती हूँ ठीक है बेटा, अगली बार अच्छा करना. I have given वैसाखी या crutches to my child कि ठीक है बेटा, mediocre accepted है. But at that point, if I tell my student कि no बेटा, it can be done better, and this is how you do it. साथ में solution भी देना है. सिर्फ हमारे को ये नहीं बोलना कि खराब है वापस करके लाओ. Solution भी देना है कि बेटा नेट पे जाओ, एक बार देखो कि कैसे लिखना चाहिए मैसेज. And the child is made to do again. I'm sure the child will have the courage to do it again. So as a teacher, I'm not judging the child, I'm not labeling the child, but I'm also not accepting the mediocre or the bad work my student is doing because he's a student, he doesn't know the perfection, he is yet to learn. So persistence on the part of the teacher also is very, very important. Setting up small goals on the part of the student and the teacher, then again making sure that the child persists in learning. Give up नहीं करता है. छोटा बच्चा होता है, जब चलना सीखता है, कितनी बार गिरता है. तो क्या हम उसको बिठा देते हैं कि नहीं बेटा गिर जाएगा, चोट लग जाएगी, बैठ जाओ? Do we cripple him for life? We try again and again and again. It takes few days for the child to stand up on his or her feet, and then they start walking for life. But no parent gives up for the fear of failure. Every child will fail. All of us have failed. मैंने साइकिल चलानी सीखी होगी तो गिरी होंगी, फिर लूना चलानी सीखी तो गिरी, फिर स्कूटर, फिर गाड़ी, फिर everything it goes on. Everybody has to persist. So formation of the habits, I think, is a very important role of an adult which we can give as a gift to our children. Forming right habits, persisting, setting up good goals, and then of course celebrating the successes of every child. Choti success. I think class 1 में जो success है, it will be very different from a class 10 child, then 12, and then maybe a professional, then maybe an adult. हर बार हमारे पैमाने बदल जाते हैं और success. Then why are we not able to tell this to our children who are in our guidance, under our wings for such a long time? As a teacher, I have children given to me right from the age of 3 plus till they are 16, 17, maybe sometimes 18 also. इतना लंबा gestation period किसी भी और जगह नहीं होता है. Graduation 3 years, 4 years, then post graduation 2 to 3 years, and then it is life forever. So then why can't we as teachers be sensitive that yes, the children have been given to us for the major part of their life. Whatever we do with them will permanently impress them, affect them forever and ever. And it is not only teachers, it is every parent. In the beginning, Urvashi ma'am had said that she was not clear whether her child was an auditory learner or a visual learner. Same thing happened with me also. I was just sharing it with ma'am before we started. मैंने realize करा कि मेरी बेटी class 3 तक पढ़ नहीं सकती थी. She could only hear, but she was an auditory learner again, and she knew where what word was written. Today she's a doctor, but till the class of 3 she could not read. She could not join the words and read. और मुझे कितनी लेट मालूम चला. Then I made her read धीरे, and by the time she was 8th and 9th, she could learn how to read. But she knew, अगर उसकी teacher ने बोल दिया, I am very thankful to all the teachers who taught her. They were so good कि एक बार जब वो पढ़ते थे teachers textbook में, उसको पता था कौन सा शब्द कहाँ लिखा है. So teachers are such a great boon. They can either break you, they can either make you. एक खराब comment teacher से can break the child or mar the child's personality for life. And छोटी जो हम लोग encouragement देते हैं, they can make up the personality of the child to be so strong. आज हम resilience की बात करते हैं. I'm sure all of you understand, children, what is resilience? What is resilience? Can somebody tell me? Yes, better. Wonderful. To bounce back to life in face of difficulties. Thank you, Beta. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please clap for her. Renu ma'am, thank you for giving such a beautiful topic. When we hold a ball, a soft stress ball कहते हैं ना, उसको हम हाथ में लेके एक्सरसाइजेस करते हैं और जैसे ही छोड़ते हैं उसको it bounces back to its shape. जब वो एक ball which is man-made can bounce back, why can't our spirits bounce back? And I think these 2 years have taught us to be strong. We have seen death of the near ones. We have seen every kind of deprivation that we could. Most important, we were socially deprived. We were all locked up in our rooms. And still we made sure we stayed healthy in our minds and in our hearts. Did we or did we not? I think everybody did something or the other. But the moment the COVID is over, everything is now bounced back. But we have forgotten the lessons that COVID taught us. We have come back to life. We are going about doing our work naturally and normally. But we have forgotten the lessons. I think our generation, and especially the generation in front of me, we need to remember that resilience is very important. It is the character, it is the strength, it is the determination, it is the grit. And I think every teacher should be able to create a class where failures, setbacks, disappointments should be acknowledged, honored, and should be worked upon. They should not be something which we are ashamed of. अगर हमारे बच्चों को सब कुछ आता तो वो स्कूल में क्यों जाते? अगर हमें सब कुछ आता तो आज भी हम क्यों सीख रहे हैं? अभी अमोल सर, the great filmmaker, हम उनकी फिल्म देखने के लिए लाइन लगा सकते हैं आज. उनको भी टेक्नोलॉजी में इशू है, मुझे भी था। When the first time जब Zoom क्लास शुरू हुई थी, my figure was showing inverted. I was surprised कि मैं उल्टी नजर क्यों आ रही हूँ। So I asked the child, and my children were helping me. ये बहुत बार कहा गया, always become so cliche. But actually, I never forget कि my children taught me technology. I also did not know how to share. जब शुरू में Zoom classes शुरू हुई या Microsoft हुआ, I didn't know anything. And CBSE gave us कि now you become the trainers. Trainers in something which we didn't know. And we had to learn, and slowly with the help of the students, the teachers, the IT department, अब कुछ हम लोग use कर पाते हैं IT, not to the, still we run to our IT department, please help us, अब थोड़ा थोड़ा सीखने लगे हैं। तो ये challenges ही तो हैं, but उसमें अगर हम लोगों को लगे तो oh my god, now I'm challenged, I cannot do anything। आज at this age also children, your parents, your teachers, your care providers, they are all learning। तो फिर failure से क्यों डरना? But this confidence has to be given to our children by the adults who are the care providers for them। I think every child should have a very diverse kind of an activities in the class so that somewhere they excel and they are confident। आज बहुत सारे मेरे friends होते हैं and they say कि काश सही time पे हमें किसी ने motivate किया होता, I could have been something different। Somewhere in, I think our parents or our seniors never appreciated their children a lot। ठीक है, कर लिया, बहुत बढ़िया है, but they never made them realize कि तुम ये चीज अच्छा करते हो, you can do this better। Some of the generation below before us were not being appreciated, I feel, or maybe I did not get a lot of people। But today, as a teacher, as a parent, we should be able to celebrate every small success of our children, maybe students, maybe anybody around us। If we are quick to support them, I'm sure they'll gain strength and they'll be able to realize their optimum and their potential that they can। तारे ज़मीन पर आपने सबने पिक्चर देखी, हम सब इतना appreciate करते हैं। I went to Patna for a small program a few days back and I got a shock of my life। We were advertising our school because I'm coming from a residential school, so we were advertising for our school। One mother with 3 children came कि मैम अगर तारे ज़मीन पे नहीं होता ना तो मेरा बेटा भी हॉस्टल में जाता। What is this? I've never heard of it। बोले नहीं, उसमें तारे ज़मीन पे दिखाया गया था कि बच्चों को हॉस्टल तब भेजते हैं जब उनके माँ बाप उनको प्यार नहीं करते। And I was shocked। ये भी हो सकता है। As a teacher, I have been talking endless about तारे ज़मीन पे, how integrated learning is there, how we can do, how teachers can bring out the best in the child। और दूसरा पर्सपेक्टिव ये था कि मैं हॉस्टल नहीं जाऊंगा बिकॉज वहां पे वही बच्चे जाते हैं जिनको माँ बाप प्यार नहीं करते। I got a shock of my life, and then I started thinking everything has a two perspectives। So as an adult when I'm saying something, हमारे बच्चों पे क्या impact हो रहा है, that also has to be seen। So if I'm careful in my thoughts, in what I speak, unknowingly I'm not labeling my children, I'm helping my child to express। Art is very important, as it was said, even sir said it। Art is very important because art में हम express कर पाते हैं। Speaking is very important, we are able to express our fears, get over our fears। तो कहीं ना कहीं जो new education policy भी मैम बता रहे थे कि we are now integrating subjects। We are having maths with play, we are having maths with theatre। Maths, I think the whole nation has a maths phobia। But now, if you are doing a graphic novel on mathematics, if you are doing role play on mathematics, if you are doing maybe a photo painting on mathematics, it is something great which new education policy has brought। Ma'am knows about it। Our schools, all the CBSE schools, under the, of course, guidance of our mentors, Sandeep sir, we have made graphic novels where cartoons have been talking about maybe linear equations, which I was petrified of in my school days। But now when I read that novel, it was beautiful। I said, "अरे सब कुछ समझ में आ गया। Division, something like that, which I was petrified of maths always। And now when I see painting, sir also did one play, I don't know how many have seen it, accountancy in, it was, I think, who's that person? Salim and Anarkali। अब सलीम और अनारकली अगर accountancy समझा रहे होंगे तो आप सोचिए आपको क्यों नहीं समझ में आएगा। It's so interesting। So new education policy today is talking about all this, how to explain the most difficult and most complex things in a very simple way। Again we come back to our topic resilience। अगर टीचर ही रियलाइज कर जाती है कि बच्चों के डर क्या है, बच्चों की फियर्स क्या है, कहाँ बच्चे गिर रहे हैं, कहाँ बच्चे are scared to stand up. I think we've done the whole battle. We don't need to do anything more. So I think children, all of you who are there in the room, kindly remember that nothing in life remains permanent. बारिश आती है, रेनबोज भी आते हैं, और अगर हम थोड़ी सी उम्मीद अपने में जगा सकते हैं, अपने आप में कॉन्फिडेंस डेवलप करिए, do whatever you are good at. We all need everybody in the world. अगर हमारे को प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स चाहिए तो हमारे को एक्टर्स भी चाहिए, पोएट्स भी चाहिए, टीचर्स भी चाहिए. Can you imagine your life even without any worker whom you meet in your home, in your school, on the road? Can you imagine your life without any of the workers? So any work that we do is very important, and whatever I am good at, I should do that. Why should I try to do something which I don't want, one, and which I'm not good at? It might be great to be an IITian, but मुझे पढ़ना ही नहीं है साइंस को, मेरे को IIT क्यों जाना है? Why should I make my life miserable? मेरे को पढ़ना ही नहीं है अकाउंट्स, मुझे क्यों करना है अकाउंटेंसी? अगर मुझे ज्योग्राफी अच्छी लगती है, मुझे ज्योग्राफी पढ़नी चाहिए. If I like history, I should read history about it. And there are ventures in every subject. But again, it comes back, the compass is always me. As a teacher, as an adult, as a care provider, I have to make sure that my children know their strengths and they're able to work upon them. So dear children and dear parents, teachers, let us all remember that in the universe of the child, you are the only person who can guide and provide guidance to the children. So let us remain strong, let us have our views clear, and let us give them the ethics, the resilience that they need to brave the new world. Let them not only give them academics, give them the life skills, the abilities that they need to face the challenges of real life. Let us teach our children communication, let us teach them the presentation skills. Let's not teach them just how to learn, but how to make decisions, छोटे-छोटे decisions which will impact their life. Let us make sure that they know team building, they know collaboration, and they're able to manage stress in their life. I think we as teachers will follow. It is now we are heading towards a digital era where rote memorization and writing and all that has gone away. Now it is analysis and how much we understand from the or rather comprehend the data that we are giving. So I'm sure our children will do much better than us if we give them the right set of skills. Let us remember to praise them appropriately and not label them. Let us help them to express what they want to do in future and be enablers and empower our future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for making the word failure look so easy, hopeful, and effortless, ma'am. Actually, failure got stigma, and I could relate to the math phobia I myself have. Math phobia, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for focusing on lifelong learning, digital era, and everything. Now, moving on, I would like to invite Ms. Archana Surana, founder and director, our College of Design and Business, to begin with the session. Welcome, ma'am.
So do not miss the big idea. So let's hear a couple of ideas today. Do you have a couple of ideas here? Yes, each one of us has an idea. And I just got this idea in this morning that, and I heard somebody and said this idea is good for today's talk. And it is, a bunch of data is a speck of information. A bunch of information is a speck of knowledge. And a bunch of knowledge is a speck of wisdom. Some ideas coming over. फिर आया मेरे मन में, who am I? What is my purpose? What has my idea to do this on this planet? इसकी क्या वैल्यू है मेरे लिए और किसी और के लिए? और वो आइडिया है तो वो क्या करेगा? what can it make possible? तो याद आया कि एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग की बातें हो रही है और कुछ मेरी चीजों में ऐसे एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं when I went for a course in Vipassana, so I went 4, 5, 6 times. Malaji has also been there, so I really want to thank her for having invited me, Renu ma'am, and the management here to talk about this. So when I went for this course, so मेरे दिमाग में जो चीजें हैं मैं कभी कुछ पढ़ती नहीं until the age of 40 I have not read books. Okay, when I say books means पूरी किताब नहीं पढ़ी है. I used to just read pages, एक पेज, दो पेज बस तक. उससे ऊपर मैंने कभी नहीं पढ़ा. तो कैसे याद रहता है? क्या बोलना है? वो है एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग. Something that touches you, something that moves you, something that inspires you. That is what will stay with you. So you heard Amol ji talking about his teachers, what they did. He said it's so fresh and alive for him, right? Why? And how did this idea of Taare Zameen Par actually come to him? Because of his experiences with his teachers and his learning curve. So my topic says, don't miss the big idea, skill-based education. मैंने कहा, would I like to talk about it? मेरे को दिल को नहीं छूती. Because when I see as education separate, I look at skill, it's different. When I look at an idea, the big idea is different. But yet they are all one. Right? So जब मैं विपश्यना में गई तो वहां पे एक बात बोली गई जो कि भगवान बुद्ध ने कहा है और वो कहते हैं श्रुत प्रज्ञा. श्रुत मीन्स जो हम सुनते हैं उससे जो हमारी प्रज्ञा होती है वो एक लेवल की विजडम है जो हम अभी कर रहे हैं. आप सुन रहे हो, आपके मानस ने कहा कि कुछ तो बात समझ में आ रही है, ये बोल रही है, somewhere it's ringing a bell. दूसरा है ज्ञान प्रज्ञा, which is knowledge through reading, interacting, observation, analysis, reflection. वो सब क्या है? Knowledge. ज्ञान प्रज्ञा. इसकी बहुत वैल्यू है इस दुनिया में. In the material world, ज्ञान की बहुत वैल्यू है. बट तीसरा लेवल है भाव प्रज्ञा. भाव प्रज्ञा है एक्सपीरियंशियल नॉलेज, जो आपने एक्सपीरियंस किया और आपने जो एक्सपीरियंस किया वो एक्सपीरियंस किसी और का नहीं है. सो दैट मेक्स यू द क्रिएटिव पर्सन. सो इन्होंने पूछा अजय जी ने, ये बड़ा बिजनेस चलाते हैं आईटी का, डेटा इन्फोसिस का जो बैठे हुए, तो उनका क्रिएटिविटी कैसे नर्चर करते हैं? क्रिएटिविटी नर्चर होती है भाव प्रज्ञा से. That's your experience that brings that differentiator when you are amidst so many people. Everybody is wearing a blue shirt, right? Everybody looks the same. When you are in a school, today the world wants you. They want you to become a conformist, right? And there's no harm. But you got to develop your inner self. And how does that inner self get nurtured? And you will still stand out of the crowd, even if you're looking at the same. Because, this gives us an identity, okay? So as Indians, we wear salwar kameezes or saris. There's a certain uniformity and it gives us a certain identity, right? When you look at flags, you see, okay, this is the flag from a certain. So there is a certain identity that comes with a discipline, which he said is not the discipline, but the discipline of having a identity and being of a certain community or that togetherness, right? So अगर आप साइंस एज ए डिसिप्लिन पढ़ रहे हैं तो आपको पता है साइंस के इस तरीके से होते हैं, जबकि आप देखेंगे तो एवरीथिंग इज इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी इन लाइफ एंड इट्स प्रीटी मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी आल्सो. This you will only come when you really realize that this is your bhav pragya, when you've experienced it. Like ma'am just shared, she was talking about wo kaun sa hai, Anarkali and how the accountancy. How many of you have seen the film Dasvi? Taare Zameen, everybody knows. Amazing, no? From a politician's point of view, he was taught maths, science, Hindi, all the subjects, and वो जेल में रह करके 10वीं कक्षा का परीक्षा देता है. And he's a politician, he's the chief minister of the state, and he didn't know all these things, but he knew the game, which is the skill of knowing his big idea. His big idea was that of politics and the power, right? And you knew whatever it takes to be in that position. So what's your big idea? What would it take on your part to actually crack the code there? And I am not going to be talking about skills in the VUCA world. The VUCA world is the vulnerable, uncertain, complex, ambiguous world we are into. When was it not VUCA? When was it not VUCA? This is a new coined word on the planet right now. When was it not VUCA? Family went through crisis, monetary crisis. City went through challenges. Could be plague, could be any kind of thing, tornadoes, everything. When was it not VUCA? So experiential learning helps you understand the context, the concept. And that can only happen when you have that inner urge to make it happen, the big idea. Today, skills are completely changing in this new world, right? So when you look at countries, how countries are investing on skill education. So there, you would look at a country like Japan has around 75% people who are skilled. They train, they invest in skill education, yeah. A country like Korea has 96%. A country like Japan has 80%. And anybody can imagine what a country like India has in terms of the investment we do on skill education?
Less than 50%.
Any idea?
Less than 50%.
Less than 50%. बहुत बड़ा होता है पीछे 50 के पीछे. Any closer number? Yeah.
Around 6-7%. I'm not sure.
Wow. So it's around 10%.
Oh.
And when I said, look at how perspective. So I was sharing this with my son who's sitting here. His name is Tanmay. And Tanmay, in his class 10th standard, after his 10th, gave up on studies and went to do a course in music production at True School of Music in Mumbai. Because all throughout his school years, he just had read, and they were quite interesting. It didn't matter to me because I was also like this. Not that I had a lot of reads, but I also felt that, I had a big idea, but I didn't know where it all came from. Kya tha? So I used to look at people like this. I didn't read books, but I read people. I used to watch them. I used to observe them. और मेरा मुंह ऐसे खुला रहता. किसी ने मुझे बोला जो बेवकूफ बच्चे होते हैं, उनके मुंह ऐसे खुले रहते हैं. Because I was gazed, I was amazed. So everything enthused me. Everything inspired me. So that's where things were. फिर उसके बाद मैं मुंह बंद करके रखने लगी. मैंने कहा नहीं मुंह खुला नहीं रहना चाहिए. पर अब मैं वापस खुला रख सकती हूँ. तो कहीं पहुंच जाती हो ना तो मैं वापस मुंह खुला रख सकती हूँ. So it's very interesting, how the journey of life is. So there's nothing like skill education, what you learn. What is important is your own interest. And there is that big idea. The big idea will require all the requisite skills. If you want to manifest your big idea, you will gather all those skills. So I was the head girl of the school. Few money, I don't know. And I had the most brilliant school principal who was a theatre person, a theatre director, Joy Michael. I studied in Delhi. And I had this class full of amazing leaders. Ek se ek achhe, brilliant writing, excellent in academics. I was average. And I became the head girl of the school. I went through an interview process. So मैम ने पूछा मैंने क्या चाहिए? उनका confidence. पता ही नहीं था मुझे उस समय confidence था भी क्या. पर क्यों मुंह से निकला ये भी नहीं पता. But maybe your teachers keep seeing you in the environment, how you operate, what you do, how you conduct yourself, right? So I forgot my speech on my stage because I was not very good at English. तो मैं रट्टा मार के गई थी, like मैं पहली बार, and मैं भूल गई. And it was maybe around what 1,000 students, 1,500. For me, I felt as if everybody was laughing. Nobody even got to know that I forgot because it was an emotional moment because it was a farewell. आप समझ रहे हो? It was a farewell. It was an emotional moment. So आप अटक सकते हो ना? So किसी को पता नहीं लगा पर मुझे लगा. And ever since that, I have never ever had a piece of paper in my hand, never written a script, and I've spoken from my heart. And I promised myself every time I'm fearful, I'm going to raise up and speak. And it took me years to come out of that fear. So remember your skill. Today this is my skill. मैंने कुछ सोचा, मैं आज भी नहीं सोच के आई मुझे क्या बोलना है. So मैं कुछ सोच के आई, and मैंने वैसा बोला ही नहीं. Because the environment would change, your mood will change, people around you whom you see, they will be seen differently. When I'm sitting on their chair, I see you, I don't see you. When I'm standing here, I see you, and I see your faces. So I want to talk to you, right? So it's very important. A skill is something that comes out of you throwing yourself into situations. You challenging yourself. You challenging yourself sufficiently that you really challenge yourself. And there's nobody to judge you. You are your judge. So most of the time, when we don't pick up a skill because we are looking at that I will be judged. जैसे आप ड्रॉ करते थे, अच्छा नहीं किया, शेडिंग अच्छी नहीं हुई, तो बोला ये कोई ड्राइंग थोड़ी है, तो आपने ड्रॉ करना बंद कर दिया. So how I got into design education. So today we run one of the most premier design education institutions in the country. How did it all happen? I had a skill, right? कैसे हुआ? I started going to melas and fairs with a neighbor who's a very big artist. उनके साथ जाते जाते मैंने कलर्स देखना सीखा, फैब्रिक्स को छूना सीखा, राइट? क्राफ्ट्समैन को जाना, कला को समझा, ये चीजें देखने लगी. And I wasn't like a woman kind of look. I was like a tomboy. उसका कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं था इस मतलब, but I started picking up, and I started seeing that I started seeing beauty, aesthetics, and it came naturally to me. So I did a course in fashion design. So I had this skill, and I started with that. And when I moved into the city, I realized that the city had so much opportunity. It had gemstones, it had color, it had people, it had labors. It had everything to support an ecosystem. So I started with a course in jewelry. People started knowing me for jewelry design. So I was not trained to be that way, right? But today I have the best of people from the NID. There are 5 people from senior who are 60 around, who are all in the senior position. How did it all happen? Because when you want something, you will develop all those skills to nurture that environment for yourself. And that's where your big idea and your success is. That's what I want to say. So today the world is talking about the learning, the ability to learn. Nurture that ability to learn every moment. She talked about resilience, COVID period, unlearning, learning, right? I didn't feel it was a waste. I felt it was amazing. We had some great new learnings over these last 2 years, right? So it's again up to you. Where is your big idea? How can you make your big idea successful with the new skills that are relevant? It's very important to see the relevance that you are going to bring in for your idea to manifest for your good and the goodness of people around you. So always remember, purpose is bigger and purpose is equal to performance. And I love when he said, a teacher is like an actor. We all are in different roles, as a mother, as a teacher, as a friend, as a as a neighbor. So we've got different roles to perform all the time, don't we? है कि नहीं है?
Yes.
राइट? सो हमें हर जगह एक्टिंग, बट एक्टिंग ऑथेंटिक होती है जैसे आमिर खान एकदम नेचुरल किसान की तरह करता है लगान में और इधर टीचर की तरह करता है उस फिल्म में, लेकिन है एकदम ऑथेंटिक सेल्फ है उसका. So your authentic self has to be there whenever you act. That's very, very important. And keep acting. That's what I'm doing right now. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm really interested in hearing your big idea. Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an amazing and creative session. I really love the ideas, creative ideas, and confidence in everything that you talked about. Now, moving on to the next session, I would now like to invite Ms. Bhavna Pandey, Chief Coordinator, Disha, to start with her session. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming here. It was really mind-spinning to hear you. Thank you very much. When we were planning this, I'm so happy to so close to the it's a seminar happening because you all are here. When we were planning this seminar, I gave it a title of it, Decoding Learning Organism. Somebody said it's wrong. You don't decode organisms. Organisms are live things. You decode processes, you decode codes, mechanisms. Why don't you put that word here? I said education in the Jeypore School is not that. Education in the Jeypore School is not a process. It is not a system. It is not an equation. Then the person asked me, then what it is? I said it is a magic. Because I remember someone asked me, teaching is an art or it is a science. I said it is a magic. Because magic requires science as well as art. And in the Jeypore School, and when magic happens, you yourself don't know how it has happened. You cannot chalk down a formula for it. But this was the equation, this was the process, this is how a child could learn. So that's exactly what the teaching and learning idea, the big idea of the Jeypore School's teaching and learning, which we are trying to follow, is that it is a match. We cater to a special kind of students. We cater to students who might have certain kind of gaps. We not only cater to them, we celebrate their abilities. That's the whole idea. And I'll not take more than 5 minutes for this session. I just want to address why on this session I want to address those parents and teachers who are obsessed with boards, schools, marks. They are not obsessed with the education. Education is not a board. Usually we get the question when parents come to us, which board my child would be sitting for? Which grade he will say, what subjects he will take. I understand. As a teacher, as a parent, these are the concerns which happen. But see the learning beyond courses, beyond marks, beyond boards. I was supposed to talk, I am supposed to talk about the idea that in case you are unique, why do you want to fit into a system when you are born to stand out? We can understand that line only when we start accepting that to stand out, you have to understand your own uniqueness, your child's uniqueness. Accept it that if my child does not do the same thing which others are doing, मेरे बच्चे के 12वीं में अगर इतने प्रतिशत मार्क नहीं आए तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ जाएगा, उसका कोई और स्ट्रेंथ होगा, वो किसी और पे काम करेगा. Agar hum as teachers and parents, we start seeing that magic which happens with learning beyond your boards, beyond your marks. In fact, now we have been talking about so many movies. I would like to talk about, there is an English movie called The Reader, in which the actress, who is an illiterate woman, she gets into a jail and she has recording of her boyfriend reading those books, and she keeps on listening a word and marking it. That's how she learns it. education system is hardly few thousand years old. If you see the mankind, if you see the how we evolved when we didn't even know how to, we were not even wearing clothes. From that time onwards, human being is evolving. We are learning, and it required very scientific knowledge. अगर आपने शिकार किया है उस जमाने में, अगर मैं होमो सेपियंस के जमाने की बात करूं, तो फूड को शिकार कितने बजे पहुंचेगा, उसको बम मारने की तकनीक क्या होगी, 4 लोग कहां से घेरेंगे, ये प्रोसेस था. इसको कोई स्कूल नहीं सिखाता था. आपने जो शिकार मार के रखा है 3 दिन वो खाना खाना है. Food storage was a technique which there is something which is inbuilt, which is given by God, inhuman. And as a teacher, as parents, if we learn that inbuilt skill of the child, the basic instinct of human learning, I think we can develop it. And I'm really thankful to my entire team here who's trying to connect with that basic instinct of a child to learn. Beyond subjects, beyond goals, beyond marks. Yes, subjects, marks, everything matches. But this magic has to happen beyond that. And I'm thank you very much for everyone to come here and create this magic, to be part of this magic. We all are, grateful to you. Your words, wisdom, everything will remain with us. It is a continuous journey. The Jeypore School is starting its journey just now. And my special thanks to some parents who are there in the audience. They were the ones who came forward. They believed in us. They said that they believed in our strategy, our way of teaching, and some senior teachers from the education fraternity. You all have been, the way you hear us, the way you meet us, the way you collaborate with us. I'm really touched. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the entire Jeypore School, thanks for being here. Thank you very much.
It was a great session. Now we would move forward to token and appreciation. I would like to invite Renu ma'am to give token of love to all the dignitaries on the dais. I would like to invite Vedai ma'am on stage. Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Ms. Sheelawati ma'am on stage. I would now like to invite Ms. Rita Kaleja ma'am on stage. Now I would like to invite Archana ma'am on stage.
Congratulations, everybody, for being a part of the school. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Now moving forward to group photographs. We'll be having a group photograph right now. Yes, ma'am.
मैम ने अभी राजस्थान के ऊपर से बताया था कि संपूर्ण शिक्षा संदर्भ की स्कूल और सब चीजें. मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट है कि सीबीएसई के लिए तो नॉर्म्स बने हुए हैं कि आपको स्कूल में एक स्पेशल एजुकेटर होना चाहिए, काउंसलर रखें, लेकिन आरकेसी स्कूल की तरफ से हम लोग एक्चुअली इंक्लूसिव अवेयरनेस पे काम कर रहे हैं और हम लोग ग्रामीण क्षेत्र के अंदर जुड़े हुए हैं. वहाँ पर एक चीज हमको सुनने में आई है कि जो भी राजस्थान शिक्षा विभाग के स्कूल से जुड़े हुए आरबीएसई स्कूल, वो ये कहते हैं हमारे पास कोई गाइडलाइन नहीं है, कोई हमको स्पेशल एजुकेशन रखने की कोई रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है. क्या ऐसा हम कर सकते हैं? प्राइवेट स्कूल वो ये कहते हैं हमें बच्चा हम ले नहीं सकते, यहाँ पे कोई भी बच्चे को हम एडमिशन नहीं दे सकते. तो क्या
मैम मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगी कि 33 जो हमारे जिले हैं वहाँ पे रिसोर्स सेंटर बने हुए हैं। 7 से उनको मॉडर्नाइजेशन किया हुआ है। अभी ऑल 33 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में संकुल संदर्भ केंद्र हमारे बने हुए हैं। एंड फॉरवर्ड करते हुए ये भी बजट जो सेंक्शन हुआ है उसके अंदर 301 जो ब्लॉक्स हैं उनपे कंटिन्यू प्रोसेसिंग है। अभी 301 में वहाँ रिसोर्स सेंटर चालू किए गए हैं और वहाँ पे ब्लॉक्स में है तो जो है एजुकेटर्स अपने रखे हुए हैं।
मैं आपका इंफॉर्मेशन देना चाहूंगी
हाँ
कि
जी।
जैसे अपने जयपुर शहर के अंदर भी आपका जो साउथ एरिया है, नॉर्थ एरिया है, या आपका वैशाली है, छोटवाड़ा है, वहाँ पे आपके ब्लॉक्स है लेकिन वो बंद। हम स्लम एरिया के बच्चों के साथ काम करते हैं। हम पेरेंट्स हैं कुछ मिलकर, कुछ हमारे टीचर्स मिलकर, कुछ हमारी दिशा के, कुछ प्रयास के, उमंग के, हर अलग अलग जैसे हम लोग हेल्प लेते हैं, उनसे इंफॉर्मेशन